Hi, I'm Dr. Don, and we've been talking about couples relationships. I've been doing marriage and family therapy for about 40 years now, and one of the most common and most destructive patterns and problems that I've had to work with through the years is extramarital affairs. You know, Hollywood has done us a disservice in treating extramarital affairs because probably outside of the death of a child, there's nothing more painful to do to one's spouse or partner than to be unfaithful to them. And if someone had told me when I was starting out counseling at 23 years of age that I'd spend my entire adult life helping couples work through the impact of an extramarital affair, I would have not known that was how I was going to spend my life. But this has truly become one of my clinical specialties and one area that I've worked with extensively with couples. A number of years ago, a friend and colleague of mine, Dr. James Cale, developed what he calls the affair syndrome. Hollywood does not portray it accurately. We generally don't meet somebody in an elevator and by the time we get to the 15th floor, run to their room and throw ourselves in bed having sex. Normally, the progression from being married to somebody to having an affair with someone who is outside of the relationship occurs over a predictable period of time. In the affair syndrome, there are various steps, and I'd like to share those steps with you. Prefacing this by saying we understand that what I'll be talking about in very descriptive terms is very painful for a person to experience if their partner is going through that, and also saying that there's healing from extramarital affairs. So, when we talk about how they begin, affairs begin down here at stage 1 with proximity. People have affairs with the people they're around. So teachers have affairs with other teachers and students. Coaches have affairs with athletes and other coaches. People in business have affairs with people they travel with or meet or do business with. We tend to have affairs with people that are within our work and social settings and circles that we come in to contact with. Now, the thing that's changed that over the last few years has been with the advent of the internet and online dating. A lot of people can Facebook, a lot of people can reconnect through social media with friends they had in the past, with an old girlfriend they knew in high school, an old flame from college, and you can reconnect outside of your geographic area. But proximity is the first usual determinant about who a person's going to have an affair with. Stage 2 is going to be what we term a mutual awareness of attraction. And this occurs not only in affairs, it occurs in general. Most of us have what I call a template of attraction. As we go through our life, there are certain people that pass through our lives that we tend to be attracted with. When we get married or when we're in a committed relationship, we agree to turn that radar off. So when my awareness of attraction goes on, if I'm married or if I'm in a committed relationship, I decide I'm going to turn that thing back down and turn it off. It's not going anywhere. But there are times when an individual is unhappy or they're dissatisfied or they're making a poor decision, that awareness of attraction goes off, and if they're in a room with somebody and they catch their eye and that other person is attracted to them, we have what's called that mutual awareness of attraction. It's both going off at the same time. Now, if you're a single person learning to date, that's a terrific thing because you go, okay, well, there's a potential date for me. But if I'm in a relationship, that can be a threat to that because both of those awarenesses, the radar has gone off at the same time, which leads us to stage 3. Stage 3, and notice at this point in time, there is not an affair going on, but we are progressing up toward it. Stage 3 is going to be the signal. A signal is where I will send a signal to this other person to let them know I find you attractive. It can be a nod. It can be a wink. Many times it's nothing more than the holding of a person's gaze a little bit longer. It may be a subtle message that is sent in some way, moving toward that individual. If that signal is sent and then it is reciprocated, she flirts back with me, she holds my gaze a little bit longer, she moves in closer, then you have a deeper connection there. Now, stepping back from this, someone can say nothing's happened, nothing's been said, nothing's going on, but we've begun a progression. We've just, in my estimation, crossed a boundary at this point in time. If we move forward, I'm violating the boundaries of the relationship that I have with my wife, my partner, the person that I'm in a committed relationship with, because I'm going to be taking the attention and the information and the emotional connection that's intended for my partner and heading it toward another individual. So we have proximity, mutual awareness, a signal is sent. If that signal is received, then we move to the fourth step, which is going to be increased interaction. Increased interaction. He shows up at the coffee bar at 10 o'clock that morning. She starts showing up at the same time at the coffee bar. They begin chatting with one another, telling jokes, exchanging pleasantries, how's your day, this, that, and the other. And then they notice the next day they show up at the same time, the next day they show up at the same time. It gets to be a pattern going on. And so what happens is they begin building an interaction pattern with one another that leads to more involvement with each other. And that involvement begins to progress. And remember, we've already got some attraction going on. A signal's been sent that they find each other attractive. If these are two single people and they're not in a relationship or married, this is dating. This is an attraction dating progression that we're describing here. It's just one or the both of them are already married. The fifth stage is what we call sharing of information. And the sharing of information at this point in time is not the sharing of information about, well, these are the classes I'm teaching and these are the kinds of clients I work with. It tends to be sharing of personal information about my life, about my hopes and dreams, about my emotional conditions. It's beginning to share that information that is assigned and designed to be for my partner. And I start sharing this with this other individual, which means that the relationship is moving up in its level of intimacy. We are becoming more intimate with one another on a verbal and an emotional level. So you have the start of an emotional affair occurring right here. And let me do a quick time out. The emotional affairs, while we haven't had sex introduced into that, can be just as devastating to the partner as a physical sexual affair is, because of the breaking of this trust bond in the sharing of that information that's meant for the marriage itself. The sixth stage that comes in is the wish. The wish is where I say to myself and eventually to this other person, well, I really, really wish that I'd met you before, I met my spouse here. And we begin thinking, maybe I married the wrong person and I'm really intended to be with you. And so you can see once again, we are progressing up in the level of intimacy. May not have gone to bed yet, but we're certainly headed that way. Which leads us to the next stage, which is very, very powerful, which is denial. In the denial stage, people begin looking around, people begin watching this. I begin actually denying it to myself that this relationship is as powerful and as meaningful to me as it really is. There's a real interesting phenomenon that occurs in the denial phase, and it's called the illusion of invisibility. People that are having the ramp up toward an affair believe that nobody around them is noticing this stuff is going on. And the reality is the students that they teach in class, their co-workers, friends, sometimes even the spouse themselves that they're married to will be looking at that and going, wait a minute, do you not realize, these two people are just crazy about each other. There's something going on here. But the two people that are involved in it believe that they've got that thing hidden. There's this illusion that this thing is invisible to the people around them, when in reality it's very, very easy to spot and to see. The final stage is going to be sexual activity. They finally go to bed with one another. And so there has been a ramp up over time, moving from this mutual awareness to the signal sent to meeting and talking with one another, sharing information that should be in the marriage, denying that anything's going on, and finally this new relationship is born. Now, we're going to come back in a later lesson and look at how you address, treat, and respond to extramarital affairs. But this gives you a baseline for understanding how these things begin to happen.